Hey there, NASCAR fans. Thanks for hanging out with us here. It's time to get settled on into this week's episode of the Highline Podcast. He's, of course, William. I'm, of course, Jason. And we'll do what we do every single week, which is, of course, recap the previous race and then look back to this coming weekend's race. How's it going there, William?
It's going good, man. We just had a Daytona 500 this past weekend, a great American race. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. went to victory lane, a driver not many of us expected to go to victory lane, but he did. And he also, on top of that all, got a playoff spot, and that can go a long way. That team, for the rest of the regular season, can go test out different things. At the end of the race, for instance, if teams are taking 4 tires on a 2-lap run, he may instead stay out or take 2 tires to cut the difference. And Stenhouse has a lot going for him right now by winning that Daytona 500.
Right, and of course that's assuming there's only 16 or less, winners, throughout the 2023 season. Remember, it was just we've been doing these now for a few seasons now. Wasn't it just I don't know, a couple seasons ago where like everybody wanted to pick Ricky Stenhouse Jr. kind of when they got to a super speedway. Obviously, he had the 2 wins in 2017. He was kind of like the pick, right? You wouldn't touch him out of a super speedway. You wouldn't have any part of him. But coming to a super speedway was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and take Ricky. He never quite, I guess, carried that momentum he had, I guess, from 2017 when he got those couple wins. Boy, it was nice to see him come back in a victory lane at a super speedway.
Yeah, like ever since he had them 2 wins in 2017 at Talladega and Daytona, a restrictor plate track, he's been hit or miss. He had a pole in Daytona 500 back in 2020 in his first ever qualifying effort with his new team, JTG Daughtery Racing. In this past weekend, holy crap, them owners got a big boost. Jody and Tad DeSchechter, longtime owners of the sport. And we all know Brad Daughtery, an former NBA player. He came into the sport quite early back in 2014 when his team was starting it up. And he's been all there with the process through the ups and downs. They had a win in Watkins Glen in 2014 with A.J. Allmendinger where he outdueled Marcus Ambrose and Kurt Busch. I remember it like it was yesterday, but that team went through a lot. And for them to finally win a race, and it happened to be the biggest race on the schedule, it's a good feeling because they very much earned it. And they can go enjoy the rest of these 25, or I think it is, races before the playoffs. And they got a lot going for them right now.
You're gonna have to bring this up. I remember last year, was it at a Kroger that you ran into Stenhouse and you had that opportunity? You gotta have to bring this up if you run into him again. Maybe if you go to Atlanta, or it was at Atlanta you saw him, right?
Yeah, it was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and at Kroger near the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I forgot the town. I'm bad with towns, but it is near that.
Yeah, somewhere in Atlanta. It's fine. Somewhere in Atlanta. Hey, what about the other parts of the race? I know we were going back through text messaging during the race. Obviously, I'm actually fine with not getting like the hectic, crazy drama filled at the end of stage 1 and stage 2, because all it does is like wipe out cars, right? You saw kind of the big one towards the end there where it wiped out like half of whatever the remaining field was. Like if you get that at stage 1 because guys are pushing so goddamn hard, if you get that at the end of stage 2, like what are you gonna have left in stage 3? So while it wasn't, I mean, it was mostly 2x2. There were times in stage 2 where it got drawn out in one long single file line. There was good side-by-side racing. I didn't think it was like all that great, but at the same time, I didn't think it was all that bad either. I don't know. It was kind of a little mixed feelings on it.
I believe they can make a change. And this change right here, it's the biggest race of the year. So you get everybody tuning in. And to be honest, no one wants to see a clean stage ending like stage 1 and stage 2. I believe them 2 innings right there were completely bad. I was not impressed by the racing because a lot of people, they were spread it out single file, and it was getting bad and dull. And I believe
Kozlowski had a good move though. Allmendinger about damn near killed himself and took out a whole hell of a lot of people going down the middle.
Yes,
I wonder why he does that because he wants to be the lucky dog. But damn, at those speeds and do it, whew, that's dangerous.
I believe what they can do moving forward for like this one race only. I know it's just my opinion. I'm just throwing it out there. But why not double the points for this race? If you get a stage win, you get 20 points. And if you win stage 2, 20 points. If you win the race, that's 100. So you can leave 140 points with your name alongside it. And I believe if you just double it for the Daytona 500, the racing will be much more harder. And it's going to be very exciting. But that's just my opinion. We saw Brad Keselowski pick up a stage win Ross Chastain. Chastain came out of nowhere.
On the
He was just
line.
cruising along the whole day.
Yep.
And at the end of stage 2, he got up there and nearly won it, but he nearly lost it also. But besides that, though, I believe the racing product at the end of stage 3 was kind of surprising. If that last caution did not come out, it was going to be Kyle Busch all day long. Simple as
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, no, he was right up
But
there at the end.
yeah, but like the trucks and Xfinity and Cup, I saw it all weekend. If you're a driver and if you're going single file just at the end of the race to log laps in and not even try, don't you dare get on a press conference or an interview and say, "Oh, I just ran out of time," because that is the worst thing I've seen all like in a while. All 3 races, they were going single file. They were not making a move. A driver that's riding 10th in line is not going to win the race on the final lap making a move. You got to make it sooner and to not make excuses for being just 1 lap. I don't have much time. That's on you.
Yeah, if it come to the final lap, 2 lap. If you're not in the top 2 lines, nah, you're done. I mean, you're just not gonna you're not gonna jump up that high. I hear you on maybe making stages 1 and stage 2 a little bit more dramatic there for the fans, but I just think the fear is there. You're gonna decimate the field. With crashes, trying to get, like, if you incentivize this double point system or anything else, you're just gonna decimate the field. So you probably leave it the way it is, and that's probably as exciting as this race was. That is probably the height of super speedway racing. You know,
Yeah, but I believe changes have to be made at some point.
well, changes got to be made to Fox's coverage. I can tell you that right now. We
Oh
were going
yeah,
back and forth in text messaging, and I feel like we need to take a break right now and
yeah,
let our
yeah,
viewers go through another commercial. It's not like we know they can handle commercials.
yeah. Like that was ridiculous. There were too many commercials. I remember it was like they came back on lap 41, and next thing you know, they're back on commercial on lap 45. We're just 4 laps into it. What's happening? And like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of all of this stuff going on. And if you're really wanting to catch the attention of the race fans, if you're putting a full screen commercial within 4 laps of coverage, us race fans are going to do everything we can to go out our way not to buy your product. But if you go and buy a whole commercial rate, which is going to cost a lot more, us race fans will go out of our way to even buy your product. If you just have your logo on the bottom left of the screen, we will look at that. We pay attention to that kind of stuff. And race fans will enjoy that more. Companies out there sponsoring and these commercial breaks during the NASCAR races.
Yeah, my big takeaway with the commercials, it was just hard to kind of get settled into the Daytona, right? I mean, you got all this build up, all this excitement since last November, and then just the sheer number of those suckers. It just like felt like you just had a hard time just getting settled in. Like, can I watch the damn race? Like, can I just get into a section where I'm ripping off, 20, 30 laps, let's say. Now, maybe stage 1 being green the whole time, maybe that's why they slid them in, but obviously that was predetermined, whether there was cautions and wrecks or it was all green flag. They were fitting those commercials in and they were getting them in. So I don't think being long green flag on stage 1 played a part. That was their intention, and from a viewer standpoint, it really killed me. I had a hard time getting settled into the race.
2 things. I saw on Twitter Larry McReynolds, who works for Fox as a crew chief analysis, he put out on Twitter that they got a new director. And this director is wanting to get most of the commercial breaks done early in the race so at the end they can go commercial free. His motto was to do commercials early on in the race and have the last 20% of the race green flag. And with all the breaks at the end, we were never really able to see that he was true to what he was saying. But also, us NASCAR fans, we
That's
see a lot
fine
of
though, William. That's fine. But I've watched the Tour de France for probably a decade. They say we're going to take another commercials because when we go up, Montuier, we want to give it to you commercial free. Like, they tell you, we know we're giving you tons of commercials on NBC Sports, but it's because we want to give you, up this big mountain. We want to just give it to you commercial free. Like, tell me why you're doing it. If that's the intention, just let me know, and then I'll be like, all right, cool. I'm getting all stage 3 commercial free. Like, let's go.
yeah, like don't keep it such a big secret. If you're just trying to we're just trying to save it for the end, let them mention it in the broadcast. Us race fans would know why you're doing it then. But also, people are saying these days that NASCAR is starting to have a little bit of competition with Joey's. Oh my God, Joey's hair. But NASCAR is starting to have a little bit of competition these days with Formula One because Formula One is taking a big upswing right now. They got Drive to Survive coming out this Friday, and it's going to boost the American audience just even more. And one difference between both of their broadcasts are this: one, Formula One's commentator is way more energetic than Mike Joy and Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart are. That final lap was pitiful. It sounded like they were just talking, not like
Tony Stewart was
calling
kind
a
of weird,
race.
yeah.
It was dull. But when David Crofty calls the Formula One race, he's energetic and he gets the fans to feel the way he's feeling, and it's very energetic. And also, the Formula One race, they provide all the top analysis details, like when a car pits and why they're pitting. NASCAR doesn't do that well. And also, like, did you hear anything about Ty Dillon after he went to the pits? No. They kept that as like a big no-no. They didn't talk about it. Formula One will. And they also go commercial-free the whole entire race. And NASCAR doesn't. So putting two and two together, NASCAR needs to up their game because right now what they're doing is not cutting it. Their announcers got to be more energetic, and they got to keep a better job at talking about the details.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What else do we want to say about this Daytona 500 there, William? Anything else? I feel like that's most of it.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and jump in now to the 2023 Auto Club 400, the Pala Casino. I don't know what the hell a Pala Casino is, but must be something out there in Fontana, California. But hey, last time we were here, Kyle Larson, he went ahead and took home that checker flag. I think he's probably going to be up there amongst a lot of people's picks. 2-mile track. Last time, it's going to be a 2-mile track. The next time we come back here in, I don't know, 2025, maybe 2026, whatever it's going to be a half-mile short track. I wonder if that plays into a touch of significance into this track. Just maybe it'll be a little bit more meaningful. I was the last winner at the 2-mile track before it got remodeled. Me as a fan, I could really care less. But I don't know, maybe to the drivers, this will give them a little bit more of an extra incentive or motivate. Do you think that plays into it, or it doesn't really matter?
It really don't matter. It's an auto club. It's nothing significant.
All right. I know. All right. Well, last time we were also here in 2022, Chevys were all in the top 4. Chevys were all in the top 4. I remember Tyler Reddick. Remember, he was kicking butt. He read a race high 90 laps, and wasn't until in stage 3 where he had the left rear issue, which really kind of ruined his day. He was out there, and I think he's going to be another popular pick. The only concern I maybe have with him is he's no longer in a Chevy. So does maybe Chevy's dominance last season maybe knock him down a peg? I don't think it does. I still like him when you have to run the high line. So I think Tyler Reddick will certainly still have him. And remember also when he got that, wasn't it William? It was William Byron that also ran into him and really, I think, he could have recovered, but William Byron hitting him, I think, definitely ended his day. I'm going to be looking for Tyler Reddick. I think Tyler Reddick. What are maybe some of your thoughts on this race?
Well, I look at Auto Club is very similar to Michigan, and the drivers that succeed at these kind of tracks are your dirt racers. And like you look at Chase Briscoe, he's got a dirt background. Christopher Bell, a very established dirt background racer. Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon, he's not that like going to a race weekend. Nobody really thinks about Austin Dillon, but these are the type of weekends you do. He's really good. And then you look at another driver like you get the Bush brothers. It used to be the Bush brothers, now it's just Kyle Busch. It's kind of weird saying that, but and then Chase Elliott, who doesn't really have a big dirt background, but he's going to be up there, and obviously Justin Haley. I'm just saying, dirt background racers are going to succeed this week in an Auto Club.
What, Williams, with only 3 active drivers, we're in the top 10 in both 2020 and 2022. We skipped in 2021 here at Fontana. You know those 3 drivers?
Let's say Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Martin Truex Jr.
0 for 3. Almirola, Eric Jones, and Kevin Harvick are the only 3 active drivers to be in the top 10 the last 2 times we came to Auto Club. Some names that maybe you don't look for. I'm also going to be looking for Eric Jones to have a nice time this weekend. Second in both stages last season, stages 1 and 2. Jones has the second best average finish the last 2 times we were here, 6.5. He finished 3rd and 10th in those 2. Obviously, I told you he was one of those 2 drivers that got in the top 10. And his driver rating of 103.7 is 4th best. I'll look for Eric Jones to maybe have a nice run. I'm also going to look for Alec Almirola. I mean, one of 3 guys has been in the top 10. Got to look for him. Ryan Blaney. Sometimes when you do your handicap and you're trying to look at like maybe who can perform well, like things can happen in stage 3, right? Tyler Reddick led 90 laps, kicking butt last season. Has the left rear issue, not his fault. Then he gets hit by Byron. Ryan Blaney stage finishes last two years we were here, 8th, 4th, 2nd, and 1st. But he finished 18th and 19th. So his finishes weren't a good representation of how he raced, those entire 2 days. He had good races. His driver rating, what I kind of put more emphasis on is what your driver rating is, because that takes out the bad luck. His driver rating is 105.2, which is 3rd best. So he's got the driver rating. He's been strong. He's had top 10s in all 4 stages. He just can't. Something's happened to him, at the end, which happens. What about Alex Bowman, winner in 2020? Strong in 2022 up until that late race instance where he put himself up into the wall. He was right there. Maybe look for Alex Bowman.
Well, from an outsider's perspective, it sounded like if you go to the track Sunday early on, if your car is good, it's not going to be good much longer because obviously you can start off in the heat of the day around 12 o'clock because they're 3 hours behind. And obviously as the day goes on, it's going to get cooler and cooler and cooler. So with the cooler temperatures, your cars can handle much different at the end than it would at the start. So that's also going to play a big role. You do not really want to have a car that's good early on because it's going to be bad at the end. And that's like the people talk about this during the Coca-Cola 600, but it can go every single race, not just at 600 because it's 600 miles. But there's going to be a big transition point in the race. And that's when you're going to see a lot of cars change when it comes to handling and stuff like that. And I believe it's going to play a big factor. Plus, it's an old surface and it's real bumpy. We see a lot of porpoising going on in the straightaway. So, yes, grip is going to be big and it's going to change throughout the day big time.
Kyle's got a nice comment here. He says 3 of the last 4 winners started in the top 4. So maybe track position is key. Brian brings up tire wear is always important at Auto Club. So he brings in that. Also, didn't you message me yesterday there was actually going to be some bad weather? And Kyle kind of brings this up.
Yes.
I thought you said something about bad weather when we were talking yesterday.
Yes. Kyle, you are right. It is going to be cold. It's going to be mid-50s. Kind of weird to see this here, but mid-50s, and it's going to be raining in Southern California. It hardly rains out in California, but when it does, it rains pretty good. But luckily, though, it's looking like it's not going to be a full washout. Worst case scenario, they just have a delayed start. If anything, they race at night, and they got lights there, so everything's going well there. So really not that big of a worry of them possibly postponing it to a Monday or Tuesday. It's not going to happen, but crazy things have happened, and I don't know, anything can happen.
You mentioned Kyle Busch and how good he was there at Daytona. In 23 races, he's got the best finish, 9.8 and 4 wins in those 23 races. So if you're looking at a guy, maybe I gave you guys a Jones and Almirola and Blaney small sample size. You want to look at a guy with a big sample size? Kyle Busch. Nobody does it better than him, 9.8 and 4 wins. And so, all right, what else are we keeping an eye on? Who else? Obviously, you're going to give us your top 3, so you don't want to mention those. What's another guy that you think could be maybe crack the top 3? Anything else, or you just want to tell the people who you got in your top 3?
Well, one driver that you can really keep a close eye on this weekend just because you don't know what they're going to do. They can go out there and grab a top 15 or possibly grab a top 10, and that driver is Michael McDowell. I believe he's that type of driver that is able to go under the radar without many people realizing it and still a good result. I remember when he won the 2021 Daytona 500. After that, he started putting great results in week in and week out. And this could be the year he can also do that. Without winning the big race, the Daytona 500, because that went to Stenhouse. But he can still go out there and put in great results week in and week out. And I also look at A.J. Allmendinger. With the new team, he's feeling confident right now because when he was at JTG Daugherty Racing, he did not feel the support and love. Right now, he's got Chris Rice and Matt Collick supporting him 110%, and I am sure he's feeling that, and he's going to go out there and give it his all because he's not wanting to let them down.
I'm telling you right now, though, what he did in stage 1, he didn't make any friends. He don't want to turn into a Ross Chastain last year. He was pissing everybody off, seemed like every weekend. Don't do that again, AJ. Don't do that again. Don't split the 2 lines and you run down the middle just so you can be the lucky dog. That's how you get hurt at Super Speedway.
Well, it's the Daytona 500. You're wanting to win that race, but it's also a lot of people want to take this, like, not really want to look into it because obviously they're drivers, they're very popular people, and they're well off financially. But this is their jobs, and if they don't do good in their jobs, they're going to get fired. So they got to do their all. They got to do the most they can. I kind of see now why Allmendinger made that move,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's very controversial. I give you that, but I don't know though. It's
All right.
it's 50-50.
If that causes a wreck, he's gonna hear about it in the garage. If that caused anything, he would have heard about that. So, all right, sounds like your time to get, or you're ready to give your people your top three. I'm ready to give the people a top three, and then we got to talk some Fox Bet Super Six along the way. So, who do you got finishing P3? P3
P3
only.
is going to be Chase Briscoe from Mitchell, Indiana. He had a terrible outing in the Daytona 500, but P3. P2.
Hold
This
on. Let
is
me slide
where.
in my P3. Hold on, let me slide in my P3.
We're just going up like we did last week.
No. We're gonna rotate. We're gonna alternate. I'm
All right.
going Eric Jones. I can't ignore that consistency in stages. I can't ignore the consistency at the end. I just can't ignore that. So I'm gonna go Eric Jones P3. All right, P2. Who you got?
Eric Jones, that's an interesting pick. I did not think about him, but his luck this year has been bad. Wrecking early in the Clash and early in the 500. But second place and first
Yeah.
place has been a tight decision because these are two good drivers. We obviously know who they are, but for P2, it's going to be Tyler Reddick in the 45 car. I think the move to Toyota is not going to affect him at all.
Yeah, we've got our P1 and P2s flip. I've got Kyle Larson at P2. I think Tyler Reddick. I mean, look, if he didn't have that issue last year, I think he would have. I think he would have taken home that checkered flag. So, I put Kyle Larson at P2 and Reddick at P1. And I know you've got the
Yeah,
opposite.
Larson. I think Larson's going to win early on in the year, and he's going to have a lot of time to test out new things like he did last year. So there you go, Kyle Larson.
Okay, all right. Let's get to Fox Bet Super Six. I have not looked at these questions,
Well,
although in doing the
well, the
questions
Fox
last
Super
week,
Six,
huh?
the Fox Super Six this week is kind of, I don't know, it's still hard. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of a little bit easier to possibly
Okay.
sneak a win.
All right. Well, let me
So
look at it.
they
I
kind
have.
of make an improvement.
Okay, I thought last week was relatively fair. Actually, let me speak of that. I haven't logged in. Let me see. What did I get last week? I got 3 of 26. Ouch. I got. Wow, I only got one question right. Woof, brutal. All right, let's rebound this week. Let's do this, William. All right, question 1. Which position will the pole sitter finish at the end of stage 2? Well, if you listen to what Kyle said, he's not going to drift too far back unless it's maybe strategy related or he gets taken out. So you get 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, 9 to 11, or 12. I'm going to kind of stick with what Kyle said in the comment about he's right. Track position does matter. I'm going to go 5, 6.
Yeah, I got 5 to 6 too.
Which of these drivers will have the fastest lap by the end of stage 2? Wallace, Reddick, Suarez, LaJoie, Chastain, Bell. I'm going Reddick. I mean, hell, I got to win the race.
Well, I think early on, you're going to, like I said earlier, I got to support my theory. The people that are going to qualify up front are going to be quick early on and fade away at the end. And I believe one of the drivers will be Christopher Bell. So Christopher Bell right here.
Christopher Bell, love that name. God, that just I mean, what he did last year and everything. All right, and then always, guys, we always tweet modifications to our answers, right? We're talking about filling this out on a Tuesday. We haven't got qualifying yet, so always make sure you check William and I out on Twitter. Question 3 is which of these drivers will have the best finish at the end of the race? Harvick, Elliott, Hamlin, Larson, Truex, or Bowman? We're both on Larson there.
Larson.
Which team will have led the most laps by the end of stage 2, and how many laps will they lead? Stewart Haas up against Joe Gibbs. Stewart Haas, Briscoe, Almirola, Harvick. No, thank you. None of those guys are going to lead any damn laps. And for Gibbs, Reddick. I got Reddick. Oh, yeah, I'm going Reddick. I got Joe Gibbs this year. I got Reddick and Joe Gibbs. I'm definitely going Joe Gibbs Racing. He's going to lead. Hell, he led 90 last year before he got self-inflicted. Then William Byron pinged him there. He's gonna lead 67 plus. He can do what he did last year, baby.
Yeah, I think Joe Gibbs Racing also. Christopher Bell is going to lead a lot of laps early on, 21 to 26. Seems kind of reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Which manufacturer will have the most cars in the top 15 at the end of stage 2, and how many will they have? It's Chevy versus Ford. I'd have to go back last year, but I know Chevy's all finished in the top 4. And I think Chevy's was like, let me pull this up. Chevy's, I'm locking in on Chevy. I can almost damn near guarantee I will be on Chevy. I was curious how many they had in the top. Was it 15? 15 last year.
Yep.
And then I'm going to compare that actually to 2000. So we won't just go off of one race sample. Let's pull up 2000 and let's pull up 2022. So in 2000, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Chevys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fords. And let's see if 2022 Chevy's also one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many Fords were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it was 6, 5, 6, 5 both years. I'll do Chevys, and what the hell? I'll just go 6.
Well, I think the Chevys, I think we'll see 7. All right. I know you're going to see the 400 cars,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
you're going to, yeah, it's like, it's kind of pretty simple there. I think you're going to see not Petty GMS, Legacy Motorsports Club. You're going to see Eric Jones and Noah Gregson. Noah Gregson's a great racer at this kind of tracks. And obviously, your defending Daytona 500 winner, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., is going to be up there in the mix.
Okay. All right. So you got one more than me. All right. Last question here. Who's going to have the better finish by the end of stage 2? Busch, Logano. Oh, you don't have to say Kyle Busch anymore. We can just say Busch. Everybody knows what we're talking about around here.
Yeah. Busch.
I feel like Logano's like one of those. I don't know. Take it to another sport. I'm trying to think of another sport on top of my head, but Logano's like one of those guys that like nobody picks, and then he's there at the end last week at the Daytona. He's there. How he won the damn championship. Like he's just there. But I'm wearing a Kyle Busch shirt, so I damn near better pick Kyle Busch. So I'm gonna roll with Kyle Busch. And how many? So if like you have to say how many positions will he be better than Logano? Busch will be 2nd and Logano will be 5th. So I'll go 3.
All right, I think Kyle Busch also. It's kind of lame. Little matchup here, him and Logano. But I feel like they're just kind of trying to hype this little rivalry up. Like it's been dead the last couple of years when Speed Weeks comes around, and they're wanting to hype it up because Kyle Busch made a small remark about Logano being two-faced. This is nothing new. They're just wanting to hype it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Kyle Busch by 4 positions.
Okay, I am pulling up NBC Sports Predictor. I assume they don't have a contest.
They do not have the contest yet again.
All right, looks like we've got Brian's going to go with Busch winning, and then Larson and Hamlin coming in 2, 3. And Brian got 14 right last week. Hell yeah, I only got 3, Brian. And then they've been letting us edit stage 1, so I would assume that would be the case. That's hell. They even advertised it during the broadcast. They took one of the questions. I can't remember which one it was, but they were talking about it during stage 1. So you could last year, you could last week. I assume you can. Certainly assume. So, all right, That's going to do it on this week on the Highline Podcast. We've got the Pala Casino 400 at Fontana there in California. Maybe the race is delayed a little bit, but it will get in on Sunday. Remember, they got lights there at the Auto Club, so this race will be happening on Sunday at some point. They'll get in there 200 laps and 400 miles, and we'll see. We'll probably have our second winner. I can feel pretty confident about that. We'll have our second winner of the 2023 season. Last remaining thoughts here, William?
Well, this is going to be the last time on a 2-mile track. And when we come back to Fontana, I'm going to get this one right here. But when we come back to Fontana, it's going to be a couple of years. And when we come back in a couple of years, there's going to be a new driver to that 4-car, which is right now raced by Kevin Harvick. So if you're wanting to see who's possibly going to be in the mix of things with Kevin Harvick and replacing him in 2024 and beyond, you need to head over to my YouTube channel at the top of the hour because I'm going to give out 4 drivers that are possibly going to be in the running, and also at the end, 1 long shot driver to make the 4-car seat for next year and beyond. So if you don't mind, head over to my channel at 3 o'clock Eastern time.
Easily done, because in this video description, you can do a 1 click and you're right on over to William's channel. I'll be there at 3 o'clock to see who you've got jumping in that number 4. As for everybody else, appreciate you guys hanging out with us here. Appreciate you, Kyle, Brian, dropping in some great comments there. Enjoy this race on Sunday, everybody, and we'll see you back here next week for the Highline Podcast. Enjoy it, William.
All right.